All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Engineering the Markets. Just making sure I come up on YouTube. It's looking good so far. Um, so, welcome. My name is Jared. It is February 9th, 2022. This is Engineering the Markets, and we have a little bit of an interesting move in the overall S&Ps. We'll get to that in just a moment. Given it is Wednesday, let's talk about our weekly expected move, which we marked off on Monday's session, and take a look at what the market has done. So easy way to do this is kind of just remove all the noise, all the indicators, just look at relative price. And you can easily see that the market has been trading in a pretty narrow trading range for the past couple of sessions. Obviously, that 4,500 area for the SPX, quite an important stopping point or a value zone for transactions. And we've certainly seen some play from low to high on an intraday basis. Additionally, from a technical sense, you can see that we did somewhat engulf the Monday session. It's not necessarily at the top or bottom of a trend, but it indicates that while we did see a bit of a poor or lower close on Monday's session, we were able to recover that. And of course, as we look at the S&Ps, we're going to see that we are entering our gap. But on the SPX, a whole lot of nothing in regards to price movement leads to us still remaining inside of our expected move. Remember, our expected move for the week is marked off at approximately 107.48 points, and that's from Friday's close and the weekly option series expected move pricing for the week, leading us to a topside target roughly next to our swing high of 46.08 and a bottom side target of 43.93 for the option pricing. So market does seem to be stalled. Certainly looking for more information as we are still in earnings season, but a lot of our major market cap names have reported. Most of the names that are continuing to report have less of an overall impact on the market as a whole. And we certainly saw some of that composition on yesterday's session as we talked about the type of correlation that you have with larger market cap names and how much they affect the underlying index, simply from a pure mathematical standpoint of market cap percentage. So as we shift into our S&Ps, let's talk about some potential play that could take place today as we've been theorizing for this week and marking off some of these levels. So once again, just kind of leaving things purely on a price-only perspective, S&Ps have also been trapped in this trading range. Notable high and low, with the low being near the previous range high. So this is sort of our fear or volatility range that established itself after capitulation took place. That was, of course, on this Monday session. We see the market holding for this time near this topside high, basically resistance turning into support, and somewhat testing this high, which was based around a Fed announcement. Now that we have stabilized in this range, often what you can do is as you get lower and lower time frames involved, you can start to look at things like volume profile, because a market that is trapped within a high and low range will often have sort of a value zone established. Depending on the type of range, you can see things like a single distribution, which is simply the VPOC that we often mark. And usually this will look like some sort of bell curve, not necessarily central to the midpoint of the range, but identified around a key price level and then often dropping off near the edges, as the market doesn't necessarily like to transact near the lows and highs of a range. It actually likes to transition to them and then move back to value. This is traditional range-based trading. And oftentimes as a bull or a bear, you want to try and position yourself near these levels and target VPOC, not necessarily the midpoint of the range, the actual value zone that the market is drawn to on the bounce. But as with every technical setup, there is often a risk, and the risk is, of course, a fresh breakout. So we do have a breakout this morning session. We're seeing things like, if I go to my hourly chart and just move it into something as simple as, I must have been looking here. Lower time frame, very common, just a 5-minute uptrend. I thought it was a stronger uptrend. I think I got confused there. But the market is also transitioning into what we've marked off as a gap. And based around some of our gap webinar training and the understanding of gap structure, markets often place gaps whenever there is a significant sentiment shift. And especially if you are moving in one direction and find yourself forming a gap in the opposite direction, basically trapping individual traders or investors who think the move is in one direction, those gap structures are often pretty powerful. They can lead to very significant stop outs for people who were trapped, along with understanding the actual sentiment change that the market is trying to advertise. Now, as we've discussed in gap webinars inside of the BBT Education Center, not all gaps are meant to be filled. Some gaps are simply common type gaps. Those often are repaired, and they can often be filled as soon as they're formed, which actually just becomes an opening gap, which is what we often do in our pre-market session. We look at opening gaps in the market, and the idea is that if they remain open, they become future analysis points for levels and for possible trade ideas on short to medium term timeframes. Whenever you see gaps that are left open, you want to understand what type of gap is being advertised. Typically, a common gap is going to be contained within a normal trading range. The market sort of has a high and low definition, but these overall areas are pretty wide. So it's arguable whether the highs and lows represent the trading range that the S&Ps are in. Another idea is that the gap is a true breakaway style gap. And in order for that to take place, you often want the market to form the gap, and then as soon as it forms, to completely reject the gap, basically to move away from it, to break away from the sentiment change, as the market accepts the fact that what was once an uptrend, a trading range, or even some sort of posture has now changed. And usually you'll see this with volume. Breakaway gaps tend to be one of the best ways to get a fresh range breakout. So if you ever see something like a gap that has formed near something like a swing high and low of a trading range that's been established, you often want to think breakaway gap first. And then, of course, if it does roll over and fail, it becomes an exhaustion gap. The idea that the market tried to change the sentiment, but there wasn't enough supply or demand depending on the type of movement, and the market rollover leads to things like false breakouts and false breakdowns, or simply something that is ending its current trend. Be thinking things like parabolic sort of climax, and the exhaustion gap typically occurs near the high of the trend before a major shift in the overall posture of that market. So just a quick summary for those who maybe have not seen a gap webinar or don't have the context of different types of market gaps. And what we're looking at here is a gap that's trying to be interpreted. The market placed this gap a few sessions prior. It was due to the Meta platform earnings. And what we've been stating is that if the market does attempt to repair this gap, not only is it a trade opportunity, because gaps often lead voids in regards to resistance or price activity. The market sort of can move through these gaps very smoothly, and often it's done so in a very short amount of time, depending on the size of the gap. Obviously, some earnings gaps are left open and much wider, therefore much harder to fill. So this particular gap is of interest, one, because we have fully entered it. We've not only cleared the swing high that formed after the gap was created. This is our partial fill of the entire gap structure. We've rejected this once in the form of just natural resistance in the market. And we've also seen inflection at the bottom of the gap. These are all trade opportunities that occurred intraday. But remember, you had to have this gap area marked. And then you also needed to know that there was a partial fill of the gap, both of which can offer support and resistance zones depending on how they interact with the price. But as always, this gap is trying to be repaired, and the market certainly does want to continue on this move in regards to a full gap fill play, which brings us to our potential final target for this move, which is our gap close. Now, when I say gap close, it's simply the closing price of the daily candle that established this gap. And this is a daily gap for the S&P. So 457.35 is the absolute price that created this gap. You can see that we're pretty much only $1 or $2 away from that price, looking at about 455 in the current uptrend in this market. Now, the reason I bring all this up is we have this in multiple areas of the market. We've brought this up in the S&Ps, but it also exists in the NASDAQ. And remember, the same idea applies here. There was a swing high as soon as this gap formed. I'll go ahead and mark it there. This market has been struggling to actually even test this area. You can see multiple attempts to enter the gap have either come back out or even faded near lower highs, basically showing sort of a lack of interest here. And then, of course, steeper selling into yesterday's session, which for now is trying to once again fill this area. So for this particular level, let me make sure I have it marked correctly. 368.49, 368.49. So our gap high is 368.49 for the Qs. And just talking technicals here, once a gap starts to fill, the more probabilistic scenario is that it will continue to fill until it is complete. Now, this is specific to daily style gaps and not necessarily larger earnings gaps. These are true sentiment shifts in the market. They often don't fill as quickly as some of these more nuanced, and in this case, just a one-day type of sell-off event. These often can fill, and when they start, they don't stop until they often get to the full gap close price. So just want to provide that thesis here because a lot of traders are looking at this as a possible fade opportunity. And it can be, it certainly can be, but be cautious of the idea that we might not be able to fade the market yet until we get to this price. And basically that's going to apply for the S&Ps, the NASDAQ, and any stock that's correlated to the market might have a similar posture. Be thinking about shorts today in relation to the S&P and NASDAQ correlation, because if you want to short something and we're still filling the gap, the market may continue to just rise higher until everything is complete. You want to let that sort of be a completed phase, or you want to at least see a rejection lower than that price on some other area of the market. Something like a true trend change, head and shoulder structure, just something that's going to give you some edge as opposed to just thinking short just because we've risen on an uptrend. So it's strategy, it's sort of thesis idea for today, and it's affecting a lot of stocks. No matter really where I look in the market, a lot of stocks are getting a nice boost from this market rise. Apple had a decent session yesterday. It actually rose pretty well on an hourly basis with only that afternoon pullback, and is starting to break out from its swing high with sort of a topside target marked back in time. Apple is one of our strong market cap leaders. We all know how much percentage Apple holds based on yesterday's session. Hopefully you didn't forget, but Apple's about 7% of the overall S&P. So if Apple's moving higher, the S&P has a good chance to continue moving higher. How about Microsoft? Microsoft is very similar, large market cap leader. And once again, 6% of the S&P total, starting the morning with a nice gap up open and a sort of a clearing of a couple of swing highs. You know, not necessarily an all-out range breakout. Microsoft's getting a bid too. So be thinking about these ideas no matter where you look. We're talking tech. Let's talk about one of the weakest stocks in the market as a whole, Meta Platforms. We might want to ask the question, have we bottomed for now? At the very least, have we stabilized the selling? Once again, don't necessarily think about an all-out long here. Market did have a steep sell-off, and this certainly can go lower over time. But have we formed the base for a potential range, or at the very least, the stabilization of selling? This is often where people start to think about premium selling. If you're interested in getting into Meta Platforms as an investment or some sort of core trade, you might want to start thinking about selling puts. These are all plays that are opportunistic in this moment, because if the market is starting to rise, it starts to lift all boats, and everybody's sort of in a different posture. Meta is weak, but weakness can lead to stabilization, can lead to potential accumulation over time. And the stabilization is occurring at some key monthly levels. It's not perfect, nothing ever is in technicals, but we're talking about a couple of dollars off of monthly swing highs that were marked off on yesterday's session. So be thinking about this. This could easily be our monthly backtest. As volatile as it seems, think about how powerful a monthly low being set in Meta can be for future trade, even though in the moment it feels as if there is no bottom in sight. Just be thinking about those ideas. And then, of course, as we look at stocks in a posture of strength, the monthly kind of advertises how strong Google has been and how a bit extended it feels. But let's talk short term. Let's talk about how Alphabet has backtested its earnings close. We have gone ahead and faded from resistance all the way back to where we started on the earnings. Now, you might look at this and say, well, that's not quite, I would say, opportunistic for the bulls. That's actually kind of scary because we've given back everything that the earnings has provided. But from a technical sense, could we start to hold here? The answer is yes. This could be our back test. We're coming to say that, yes, earnings was better than expected, but it wasn't able to stabilize, which means we're probably going to be trading in this range for a while until a much larger decision is made by the market. And once again, thinking short term, thinking intraday, if Google holds, if Facebook holds, if Apple and Microsoft are rising, and if the rest of our large market cap leaders, we talked about things like banks, and Berkshire is our largest market cap name in the banking sector. guess what? It's staring right at all-time highs. This actually could break out today. And when you look at this posture, this is a posture of strength. When you look at things like Nvidia, which aren't necessarily the most bullish things in the world. But let's look at a short time frame here. Let's look at the potential for this to clear swing highs and the slight trend that's forming on our pre-market session. Once again, that 5-minute uptrend, very clear. What you want to be looking out for is reasons to get short and reasons to think long for now. As directional traders, we want to take the best opportunistic moments based on the information we have. I've given you the idea of the gap that this market may be starting to fix. And if that fix is going to complete, it means we have a little bit more upside left to go. Once it's done completing, you can think about the idea of a gap return strategy. For those who attended the webinar, gap return is very simple. As the gap is being filled and you've cleared the entire gap range, the opposite side of the fence is going to act as preliminary resistance, or in the case of a downside gap, preliminary support. So if you see a technical signal to consider shorting the market once we get to a full gap fill, that might be an all-day sort of play, but it has to get there first. And this is all about the idea of timing and opportunistic moments that are starting to take place based on structure. Structure is important. Structure derives probability, and structure also can derive strategy. For example, the structure of Meta is not bullish. It's not a bullish stock. It might hold here, but it doesn't mean it's going to rip to the upside immediately. It's going to take time. So you shouldn't be thinking all out bullish strategies. You should be thinking sort of cautionary bullish if you want to get some long exposure. And at the very least, you should be thinking about trading the range once it's formed. The low might be set. We're just waiting to see what the bounce looks like and how significant the bounce looks compared to the overall downtrend, which is more obvious on the daily chart, however extended it might be. So hopefully I've given a little bit of forewarning, but more so the opportunity. I think a lot of us as intraday traders, we look at a market, and we say that there is a underlying component of the market that is moving. It has volatility, it's tradable, it's liquid. What's my best play at the moment? Because as intraday traders, we only have 7.5 hours per day to trade stocks that are moving for us. Some of us have even less time. You want to put yourself in a position to get the best opportunity for the stock that you're about to trade. Not to be right, not to be the first in line. What's the best opportunity? What's the thing that's going to make you have the best location, risk, and position sizing to take advantage of a potential move that may or may not work out? These are all things to think about. And when you put those pictures together, what's the market doing? How's my stock trading with the market? Is my stock in play? Is it starting to change compared to the market? Am I seeing weakness or strength? Maybe as the market pulls back, my stock consolidates. So guess what? When the market starts to rebound, my stock has a chance to break out. That's an opportunity. And that opportunity comes once. You're either in or you're not. And then you're watching for continuation or the failure of your thesis. That's pretty much all we do. That's how we trade. These are moments in time. Think about how to get involved with them and understand that the market today doesn't have too much overhead news or catalyst. So let this fade to the upside, try and complete. Give it the opportunity to fill the gap. And then from there, switch your mindset, look for that possible gap rejection, that gap return play. And if it doesn't work, market could easily go into another sort of trend or parabolic style phase, especially if it occurs on the intraday time frame, because we're filling the gap up for a reason. Market is obviously saying that was a little bit of a change, that was a sentiment at the moment, and guess what? Now it's starting to be undone. So let's look for those plays today and obviously trade safe. Last but not least, we're not going to look at too much risk profile across different indices or different areas of the market. I do want to call out volatility, which has come down significantly since the Monday low of the market, January 24th. VIX is obviously getting back down to 20. This is a normal inflection point that we've seen specifically for the VIX. It's kind of that line in the sand when things go from all is calm, all is well, to a little bit of fear. Let's see how far that fear goes. And it really picks up if we start to accelerate to the downside. So as we get to 20, let's see if we can start to collapse through it. Because what we're doing now is sort of returning to our line. If we can cross the line and stay under it, market has once again a chance to sort of fade to the upside. Bit of a bullish drift idea for the future. And some things this week are certainly going to shake up the market. CPI coming out tomorrow morning. But until then, we're kind of taking what's in front of us and playing our hand as the market gives it to us. I think last but not least, just to kind of round out some things discussed yesterday, we covered this a bit in the morning session of BBT chat. We didn't quite go into it heavily on the engineering the market session, but one thing to look at is Crude. Crude has gotten to a technical level. I would say most chart theorists have sort of had this on their screen for quite a while. So a lot of people are seeing this possible rejection. Once again, strong uptrend. So this is easily just a pullback setup. But fading this high has played out quite well on an intraday time frame. We saw XLE form its first engulfing structure near the high. And that was an intraday play that a lot of people were looking at and hopefully a few people took yesterday. Let's see how much continuation this has. It is something to consider if you are long energy, the idea of profit taking versus going all out bearish. But as with most of these top fishing plays, you can think about premium selling, getting a little bit of downside exposure, or just saying, hey, it's been a great run. Crude can go to 100, but it's a little too risky for me. So I kind of want to size down on my risk. Moments in time, opportunities, mark them, take advantage of them when they show, leave the rest for the scalpers and the speculators out there. So with that said, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. Stay tuned for pre-market prep with Carlos and Norm. We have a good gappers list because of the market strength. So a lot to cover, a lot to look for today, and hopefully everybody can walk out green. So talk more tomorrow, and I'll see you then.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Supermarket Prep. I hope everyone's having a good morning. Hope that you guys had an incredible day yesterday. Good morning, Norm. How you doing today?
Hey, good morning, brother. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good, my friend. Doing very good.
Good.
All right, guys. Let's get to it. Let's look at the stuff we had yesterday on our list. Starting with the big elephant in the room, guys. Piton. I mean, this thing was just unbelievable, and not just Piton. Actually, there was a lot of great plays yesterday. But let's start with this one here. Let's look at our 5 minute. And again, the hype on this one yesterday was definitely in play. You can see here how well this traded in the pre-market. A lot of us took this trade in the pre-market because it looks so clean. And then you have more opportunities into the market open as well. Beautiful breakout here, hitting some of these levels we had on our daily very nicely. And again, just overall strong stock yesterday, hitting 40 all the way from the start of this. I mean, the low of this yesterday, including pre-market, guys, was 25. I mean, so talk about a hell of a run yesterday on Piton here. We also had I didn't have it on here, but AMD guys, we called it out in the chat. This is another one too that did very, very well. It took a bit to get going, but look at the beautiful breakout we had here on Nvidia. I'm sorry, on AMD. That was very nice. We have PFE on our list, which didn't do a whole lot, which it was kind of this was kind of expected a little bit. I mean, you can see here, this stock doesn't trade very well, even with great news, and that played out yesterday. It did get better later in the day, but by this time you had so many other stocks moving so well that this is probably not one that was a priority. Here is a Meta also. Again, I think I'm not sure about it, but at this point, I think a lot of people were just looking at different stocks. Meta took a bit of a pop here, did get a little choppy up and down, and then eventually just sold off yesterday as well. We had Nvidia on our list, which was again had an initial rough time to get going, and then it took off nicely, just like AMD did. Very similar stock there. PBR was this was a waste of time, really. I mean, there's just no volume coming in through here. Yes, you have this drop, but I was watching this one closely to see what was going to happen, and just the volume was not there. The order flow was stagnant. So again, it's just nothing good happening there. And Snap, guys, Snap obviously also very heavily in play yesterday after it bottomed out, took off nicely as well. This morning, they got a little bit of volume as well, so we'll see how that plays out today. So that was our watches from yesterday. Our gappers list today, very heavy on the green side as the markets are up this morning. So we see tons of tickers on our green gappers list this morning. I cannot wait to get to those, and hopefully we can find something that looks pretty decent there. With that said, Norm, what's the latest and greatest on the market?
Yeah, I mean, as you just mentioned, we have a decent gap up this morning, just under 1% on the SPY, 1.33% on the Qs. We're really kind of in a holding pattern here, waiting for CPI data to drop tomorrow. Trying to anticipate what the Fed's next move will be. 10 a.m. today, we've got wholesale inventory. That's a revision number, so nothing too crazy. And then a couple of Fed speakers. I know one was being interviewed on CNBC a moment ago. I don't know if that's still going on or not. I think it's probably over by now. Fed speaker 10:30 and noon as well. And if you would pull up a daily on the SPY real quick, focused in primarily on the last few days. Yep, keep going, keep going, keep going. Tighter, tighter, tighter. There you go. You can see those four candles for the four previous days. I mentioned that I've kind of had a rough week. I've been had a great year so far, but kind of the last couple of days have been a little rough for me. And part of it is that, and people pointed that out and mentioned it on Twitter. So do the Qs. You got the exact same thing on the Qs too, and the Qs are really what's been moving the market recently. Those four inside days, just nothing. Um, trying to find out where this market's going to go. It's just been directionless. So that's where we sit, and we do have a decent gappers list this morning. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and it makes a whole lot of sense, guys, on this choppy market that we're seeing now. All right, guys, let's get to it. Let's look at our gappers list this morning, starting with stuff in the green over here, leading the way, DCFC. So let's see what this is about this morning. First, let me go ahead and remove some of the stuff from yesterday. Control A, Control X. That's going to clear our screen up. DCFC this morning. Let me see. There we go. All right, we're getting some volume here. We're up 25%. Had a decent day yesterday. It's not a low flow, sitting at 149 million shares flow. So not a low flow stock. look, look at
trades
yesterday's.
like one.
Yeah. And look at yesterday's intraday
Oh yeah.
action.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is
So
brutal.
your screen is not showing the ticker, brother. It's
Oh,
showing scanners.
apologies.
There we
There you
go.
go.
Yeah, yesterday was wild on this ticker. So this is an Australian-based company that makes EV charging stations and such. The president was doing a roadshow of sorts, and this company was involved. So
Hmm.
that
Uh,
popped them yesterday. They're talking about it this morning. You also see there's a ton of EVs on our list this morning because of some of that activity as well. So
all right. If that's, I would love to see other EVs aside from this one. I mean, this just doesn't look great right now. They got some volume. You know, you might be able to scalp this. I think that's probably the best strategy you can do on here. Just be very careful, guys. It is moving like a loaf, as Norm mentioned. So do not be fooled by the what is it, 149 million shares float that you're seeing there. This thing is risky today. We are going to add it to our list down here. Good opportunity for scalps. Just be very, very careful, guys. If you're starting out, scalping is probably one of the most hardest strategies there is. Or style, not really strategy, style that there is. So just be mindful of that. If you haven't done it before, don't try something new in a live environment. It's not good. ENPH this morning.
and
Yeah.
and also Victor Smith on YouTube is pointing out something involved in this too. Is that they're on the administration's on full court press with this. Pete Buttigieg was on the transportation secretary was on CNBC this morning talking. It wouldn't surprise me if he was on other programs as well today doing some stuff talking about EVs and charging station rollouts and stuff like that. So these are in serious focus today.
Definitely in play this morning, as you mentioned. You can see all the EV stuff here: XPEF, Lee, Neo. I don't see Tesla yet, but it could be down here. We'll see. All right. Moving on to ENPH, also up nicely
It's
this morning, guys.
because and Tesla
22%.
might not get the same reaction. It
Yeah.
probably will, but it might be somewhat diminished. They are the current administration is a little slow to mention Tesla because they don't use union labor, and
Okay. Yeah.
they try to get the support of unions and therefore try to diminish them to a degree.
Gotcha. All right, that makes sense. Um, Heading over here, guys. ENPH up nicely this morning, 22%. So big pop for them. Looks like after hours earnings did
They
them
had
well.
earnings.
Yep.
Yeah, they had earnings last night. They also had an upgrade this morning, at least one that I see.
Yeah. These guys are definitely in play. My issue with this one is just the liquidity and the volume that you're gonna get. Not liquidity, the volume you're gonna get on this one here. It can trade a little bit thin at times. Today, 287,000 already, $177 stock. Look out for the spread on this one. It can get nasty at times. So we'll put it on here as a possible for now. Hopefully, at the market open, that can get a little bit better. Here's XPEF. Speaking of EV vehicles, XPEV, I'm going to add this one to our list. We're up 6% on this, 500,000 shares traded. Looking good right now. CGC, I see any other POS stocks in here. I see CGC's
They
popping
had
up
earnings this morning.
All right, very nice.
So they've got an
6.5.
individual catalyst. Yeah.
Yeah. That looks good. 6.5 volume, 454,000. We definitely seen this stock trade better in the pre-market. Put it as a possible. Let's see if that's gonna do something for them. They can trade good volume, and they can actually put in a good, decent intraday trading as well. MMDN, DT, excuse me, MMDT. I'm like, what's going on here?
Third time's a charm, bud.
Yes, right. DT. This one up 3.4, 250,000. Had a big day, yes, as far as the daily, but man, look at this. This happened after hours. No, this happened actually during market hours. Yeah, look at this thing.
Well,
here.
there's two things going on here.
Yeah.
There is I'm not super impressed with how this one trades, but maybe it'll prove me wrong. There's two things. They did have earnings last night, but the rumor broke earlier in the day where you see that maybe Microsoft's going after a deal to acquire them. So
Okay. That makes sense. All right. Well, I mean, I don't know how this thing is going to trade, guys. I'm not a fan of what I'm seeing right now. We'll leave this off for now. Maybe if it hits the scanners, we'll look at it. But I think on a day like today, we can look at other stuff that might be trading a little bit better. Here's SQ. SQ's up 3.5, 191,000. For SQ, this is actually a good pre-market activity. I like the daily as well. It's trying to hold here, so that is nice. We're gonna head down to net NET. No volume on this one. You got to pop up 3.7, but not a whole lot going on right now. LI, more EV stuff happening here. How about Lucid? Is Lucid on this thing? Oh, they have not mentioned it like you said earlier. I don't see them on the list here. We do see Neo, so I want to go straight to Neo. I think Neo is going to be a good one today. 712,000. So we'll add this on here. Neo is good. Then we have Plug as well. Plug is EV also, right? They're like a charging station, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe we'll put one of these just to see how these things going to play out. We'll put Plug on here. Definitely needs more volume though. Riot is back on this list. I see Mara, so Bitcoin must be doing some fun stuff there. Might be worth taking a look at. Again, Mara for me has not been great. I'm waiting for it to start trading the way it was a couple of months back. We had a lot of fun with that one, but we have not seen that recently. All right, guys, there's a whole lot of stuff here. We're not going to get to everything. I'm going to stop here and give you guys an opportunity to throw some stuff out at me. If I missed a good one, Norm, let me know. We'll look at TCS.
Just wanted to clarify that, yes, David, Connecticut is correct. Plug is hydrogen fuel cell, but it's still in the same general alternative fuel category.
Yeah. TCS here, guys. These guys are, let's look at our gappers list. These guys are down 30% this morning. So big drop for them. Not great volume right now. They are at 30 million shares flow. So not a low flow, but a little bit lower than most stocks, right? After hours earnings last night looks like, so that's not.
Yeah. So this is the Container Store. A couple of issues here. Their average daily volume is around 550,000 shares a day.
Yeah.
They don't have much right now, really, in terms of what we see in volumes in the morning, despite being on the gappers list. I just this one
it's
might be
I like the drop, and that's about it.
I'm seeing a 10-cent spread off and on it too, which is quite large for a $7 ticker. So
yeah, that is not good at all, guys. So we'll skip on that one for now. And then we have NEWR, and this is not looking any good neither, right? So big drop this morning, down 25%, no volume, and also very thin volume, guys. I mean, you don't see a lot of days here well above 1 million shares traded. So might not be a fun one for today. All right, we'll stop here. Norm, anything you like this morning on your end?
Lyft was on the gappers list earlier. It had earnings last night. Somebody called out Uber a moment ago. Uber has earnings tonight. 99% sure it's tonight. Yeah, tonight. So those will likely be in play. Uber usually trades like garbage intraday. Lyft, but it's got 2 million shares volume this morning. So today might be an outlier. They'll move a little bit. It's funny is it's got the exact opposite reaction. Uber's up 1%, Lyft's down 1% this morning. Yeah, usually they'd move in sympathy, but some analysts have been saying that in that business, in that niche, that Uber is the better of the two. But maybe that. Maybe that's why that's happening. I don't know. Usually they will be moving together or close to it.
I agree 100%. I will probably. Lyft is not a great intraday trading stock as well, right? Very close to Uber, but we'll keep them on here. They got the pop today. They got the catalyst this morning. But again, Uber has more volume, which is interesting. So I do want to keep an eye on Uber. I mean, it looks to be the better stock as far as the daily as well. So I don't know. We'll keep both of them on here. We'll take a look at this a little bit later. All right. Anything else on your end, Norm?
No, just throw it to the room.
All right.
Facebook's been nice recently. That's been on my list pretty continuously, but
yeah, Facebook. I'm sure we're gonna have some of the stuff we had yesterday. Facebook, Piton. How can we forget? I know Piton's gonna be in play today. Already 2.6 million shares traded, guys. This daily looking real nice. Let's get rid of some of these levels. We'll add Piton on this list. This treated a lot of us well yesterday. Let's see if we can do that again today. All right, heading to the room here. Let's look at. We'll start with Jesse. We'll start with you here. You're giving us 3. I'm gonna take just 2. Let's look at BA. BA this morning, they're up almost at 1%. Volume is very light, which is not crazy for them. Do they have a catalyst though, right? If they have a catalyst, they can trade very, very well. But right now, I'm not seeing a whole lot coming out of these guys, Jesse.
They did have a catalyst yesterday. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's gonna. Was it yesterday or the day before? They might spark a move. They were just reporting some new orders and such.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see. We could keep an eye on that one for the scanners. Netflix today, again, it's pretty much chopping around. I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot of stuff going on with Netflix. Very light volume this morning, which is typical Netflix pre-market activity, right? You're not going to get anything crazy unless there's some news or some catalyst pushing this with volume. But right now, this looks pretty quiet in Des, guys. So I'm going to skip on that one for now. Let's take a look over at Uber. Uber this morning and Facebook. We actually have your third one there. Uber, again, I have it on my secondary list. We'll come back and take a closer look at this one. It actually looks a little bit better than Lyft, but we'll see. Let's look at Ford. Ford is just, I think the fun might be over on this, guys. We talked about this yesterday. Yesterday, big drop though. Nice drop here in recovery. So it did trade well intraday yesterday. I'd rather watch something else today, guys. I don't see a whole lot going on here. Don't be fooled by this 891,000. They usually get heavy volume, as we mentioned in the past. So I don't think it's a big thing for them there. Alfredo, you got a few on here. Some we already looked at. So we'll just look at Nvidia. We haven't looked at that one yet. This one, 430,000. Nvidia has been fun to watch. We'll keep a close eye on Nvidia. We'll take a look at Apple as well, see what's happening there. Apple's daily looks real nice. I love Apple's daily here, guys. Again, we're above this area of resistance, possible breakout. This has been an area where they've been having a tough time getting above this. Obviously, the market has not been helping them, right? The overall tech sector, how that's been trading. But this looks good. Any strength today, any continued strength in in the Qs and the SPY, and this can do very well. You got 1 million shares traded already too, which you usually are going to get. Great volume on Apple, so might be worth having here. I'm going to put as a secondary. But if I clean up some of the stuff up here, which I'm sure I will, for example, Mara, yeah, you know what? Let's just get rid of Mara now. Mara is more of a possible, and I think Apple belongs up there. They belong up here in our main list for sure. So we'll do that. There we go. All right, heading down Nvidia, we have PFE. PFE looks like garbage, and it was garbage yesterday too, guys. I mean, it's the first couple of what, half hour maybe or so. It was just brutal. It didn't do anything. Up and down action here. These wicks right here are horrible. So it didn't do anything great yesterday. Many stocks trading a lot better than that one. AMD was good yesterday. Possible breakout today as well. Again, we're really tech heavy here today. It's at AMD. Is Lucid doing anything? I didn't see Lucid on our gappers list. All right. They were down pretty. Is this yesterday's action? Hold on. Oh no, yeah, this is today's action. They're not doing anything. They're pretty light right now. They're about to go on our gappers list because they're going to hit 2% here, but for the most part, they're not doing a whole lot. Harry, thank you so much for the $5 bond there, my friend.
you,
Just to give a
Harry.
shout out for the community and all the BBT moderators. I appreciate all the hard work, guys. You guys put in every day. What's up? I will look up that ticker
Labor of
later.
love.
So thank you, my friend, for that support there. Appreciate it very, very much. INTC. Let's take a look here. INTC up 1%,
Oh.
1 million shares traded. This pre-market action doesn't look great. Their daily, interesting if they want to get going here, but it's just, man, this 1 million, I'm not seeing that in the candles here. Yeah, I'm not sure about INTC, man. I'm probably gonna skip on this one. I think we got some pretty good ones here with some great volume already. That are doing very well. I know there's just some chips news or something, so I'm not sure if they have anything out for today. But it's not looking great pre-market right now. SoFi,
Yeah, it's a tough one to trade intraday.
Even when it's in play, man, right?
INTC, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep. That's the issue with that one. SoFi this morning they are up 3.7, 1.2 million shares traded. Definitely got the volume. I can't afford to add anything else to my list, guys. I'm just gonna I even have Apple twice here. Let's get rid of one Apple, and that's it. I think I got to call it here, and I got to fine tune this a little bit more. So we'll stop here, guys. It's a lot this morning. Obviously, the markets are up, so you see there's a lot of stocks that are heavily not in play, but they're gapping up nicely, and they're above that 200,000, so they're hitting the scanners. You have to be very picky today because there's a lot on here that you could choose from. We'll come back. Let's do community announcements now, and we'll come back and fine tune this and clean this up a little bit here.
All right, guys. For technology next Monday, our special technology class, we're going to have Kyle doing Advanced Hotkeys for Risk Management Part 2. For those of you that are either new or don't know, Kyle has been a longtime member and moderator for a while now. He is very technologically inclined and has developed hotkeys to set fixed risk. You can use them. A lot of people have had success with them and seen some things happen that really turn their accounts around. So, yeah, be sure to check that out. Eamon's ABCD pattern webinar was last night, should be posted very soon if it's not already. And then next week, Thor will be talking about tape reading, and that is Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's up already, I'm being told. Eamon's ABCD webinar, so that's awesome. Tonight, 5 p.m. Eastern, note the special time, we'll have the wonderful Creata part doing our Middle Edge series part 2, going deep to level up. And then next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, the normal time, Mike will be talking about probabilities, making the change, focusing on the process instead of the outcome, an essential psychological pillar of trading there, for sure. Don't forget, Thursdays we have mentoring with Andrew at 11 a.m., Ed at 4:30 p.m. And just note that he goes in the webinar on those days during earnings season a little bit early, especially if there are any, big earnings that night. He'll start right after the bell at 4 o'clock Eastern in the webinar room. And then Thor, 8 p.m. Eastern, doing his mentoring session, aka Thor's Day. Don't forget, guys, stocktradingsimulator.com is live. This is our free web-based trading replay simulator, trading simulator. You do not have to sign in, log in, give any information, but you are encouraged, if you'd like to enter your email at the bottom right where it has that arrow. You can see it on the screen. That way you can get homework assignments a couple of times a week from the BBT team to practice out in the replay simulator. We don't sell that list or spam you. And last but not least, if you're watching on YouTube, first of all, thank you for joining us. Please hit that thumbs up button. It really does help us out with the algo. And if you'd like to try out the chat room, you can do so with no long-term obligation. Just use the promo code PREMARKET24 when you go to bearbulltraders.com. Scroll down about halfway down the page. You'll see that Test Drive Now button. You can click it. Sign up. It is 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. It charges you one time. It's not a recurring payment. And when you use that promo code PREMARKET24, you get a discount on it. Also, if you'd like to gain access to all the webinars that we're just describing, you can get a discount on that. Use the promo code LOVERS50 for the elite annual membership.
All right. Thank you, Norm, so much for that. All right, guys, let's get to it.
People are quite. Andrew is in the. Yeah. I'm going to point out that Andrew is in the chat room this morning.
Yes,
Andrew has been in the chat room this morning for a chunk of Jared's show, which I have to take my son to school. I'm not always here for the whole thing. So he's been here. I don't know if he hasn't gone to sleep yet or he couldn't sleep or got up way early or what, but it's nice to have him. It's pretty funny.
Yes, it is. We'll have him trading live later in the chat, and we'll love to hear what's going on there. All right, guys, let's get to it. Our list this morning, we have XBEV, we have NEO, so a couple of EV plays in here today. That some of that stuff is doing very well. We have Lyft and Uber also, which are, again, Uber has more volume. Lyft is the one with the catalyst today. We'll see how that goes there. We have Meta, Facebook. Actually, pre-market on Facebook looks really good. It looks really nice. So Meta looking very good there. Piton this morning, definitely in play, guys. 2.7 million shares traded. So heavy volume on Piton today. Yesterday, we had a lot of fun with this one. Today, a little bit on the downside. Let's see how that goes. Apple also has got some good volume as well. So let's fine tune this a little bit. I'm not going to watch both NEO and XBEV. We're just not going to do that. Let's pick the better of the two. Here is XBEV. Look at this pre-market. Looks okay. Daily as well looks decent. Let's compare it to NEO. I mean, they're pretty much right there. I personally, now I got to go to personal choice. I personally prefer Neo over XPEF. So that's what I'm going to do there. I'm going to remove XPEF and keep Neo. And I'll think about XPEF. If Neo's not doing something I like, we'll take a look at XPEF or other EV type plays or energy plays and see, alternative energy plays and see what's happening there. So here's Neo. That's good. Lyft this morning, again, they got a catalyst, so I'm inclined to keep them instead of Uber, although Uber has the volume, but we'll leave it just like this. We'll keep them in the main list. We'll keep Uber in the secondary list, and we'll continue make changes to that as we go forward. Meta looks really good, guys. Here, very strong. Again, starting to push up a little bit now. Here, let's get rid of some of these levels, and we'll do some fresh ones in a second. Piton is very good. Good day yesterday, so we'll keep that one. And we have Apple. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can afford one more. Let's clean up our secondary list as well. We have way too many here. Nvidia is decent. ENPH. You know what? Man, I love the pop we're getting here, but I wish the pre-market, the volume would be better. Man, if that can tighten up at the market open, this looks like it wants to go, man. Really strong today, up 25%, gapped up, and it's not selling off. It's pushing higher even as we move closer to that market open. So that one could be interesting. If you do decide to trade that one, just look out for that spread. Be very, very careful. CGC, we'll see where that goes. SQ, I'm going to remove SQ for now. It just doesn't look too exciting at the moment. Plug, you know what? Let's get rid of this. It hasn't picked up any volume since we looked at it earlier, so we'll get rid of that one too. Uber will keep. Mara, as you know, we had a lot of fun with Mara, so I keep keeping it on here and hoping that they're going to get better, but they're just not doing this, right? I mentioned this before. This right here, I think even about here, so was a lot of fun. Happy times here, guys, but here we're not seeing that. So let's just get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. If that comes back, you guys call it out if you're watching it. AMD this morning could be a good one. We'll keep it on here. And we have SoFi, 1.3 million. You know what? We'll move SoFi up. Their volume looks very good right now. They're up 3.8. Yeah, I think SoFi deserves to be on our list this morning of main stocks. So if you're new, this is our main tickers up here, the stuff that I'll be watching on my six screens, six charts. And then down here is going to be our possible stuff, things that we can, if something's not doing well up here, we can always come here and see if something's happening there. And obviously we have the chat, which you guys call out some pretty good stuff on there as well. If you see something, say something, of course. KA, you're giving us INTC, and I'm looking at it now because we're a little bit ahead of time. It's only 8:57, so we got some time to look at a few more here. The issue with INTC, is there any news, first of all? Because I saw a lot of you guys throwing this out, and it doesn't look great. The only thing that looks decent here is the volume, and that volume, you don't see that in the charts here in the pre-market. That's not trading well. That's not a great pre-market activity. So maybe you guys have some news that's on this. But if just looking at what I have here, the information that I'm getting from the market this morning, the charts and the price action, this doesn't look to be great. And also, as we mentioned earlier, INTC is not one that trades well, even when it is in play. Like sometimes you have a catalyst on this one, and it can still trade very, very choppy. Another similar stock like this one is QCOM. QCOM can have something in play, and it can be the choppiest stock ever. So these two, I put them in the same boat, really. They trade very, very similar when it comes to the intraday action. The order flow that they get is very, very spotty. So it's just not a fan of that one. All right, so AMD we have, guys. That's good. I see that some of you guys throwing out CCL. We'll take a look at CCL this morning. Had two really good days here. Not a whole lot of volume this morning. So again, two really good days, but I think overall this is moving with the market. We've seen better tickers are moving with the market, right? How about American Airlines, the travel sector? How's that doing? American Airlines also had a nice, beautiful pop yesterday, actually, on American Airlines. So again, I don't think they're in play today. You might get a continuation only if the market decides to move here. I don't think American Airlines had any individual news. If it did, we missed it. But for the most part, I think you just got to keep an eye on, on the SPY and the Qs. You're getting a little pop. Got a little pop yesterday, which was nice. You're up 1.2. No, sorry, you're up a little. I think a little less than that. SPY, you're up. Yeah, you're up almost 1% this morning. So yeah, there's some strength showing here in the SPY that's pushing some of these tickers up that might not really be in play, which is okay. As day traders, we can take advantage of that. Sometimes things do not have to have a catalyst to be traded. I get asked that question a lot. Hey, you had this on your list, but it didn't have a catalyst. Well, sometimes you don't need a catalyst for things to move. The market is trending like it has been here, right? This is great stuff for us retail day traders. Look at this movement you're getting here. The last couple of days not great, but this movement here is gonna make some stocks move that are not in play, and we can take advantage of, right? So, all right, so that's our list. Let's start getting some levels in here, guys. Let's start with Neo. We'll start here. Volume 827,000. High of the pre-market right now, we're looking at 2564. So we'll slam a level there. Above this, if this does get going, first of all, we have this beautiful support level here. Before we had the gap down, the nice gap down here down to 26. So that 27.77 on the way up, it might actually be 27.32, right? The close of this gap, but this is a very good level there as well. Then above that, we do have this little guy right here, 25.97. And I think you're pretty much set towards the top there if this thing does decide to push higher and start getting above 26 and closing this gap. We'll see how strong this thing is today. Towards the bottom, guys, I don't think you need to add anything. Do not make this more complicated or congested than what it already is. Highs and lows from the last two trading days, previous day close. You're all set down there on Neo. Do not add anything else if you don't need to. Here is Lyft, guys. So Lyft getting a little bit of a pop from the pre-market lows that are sitting at 39.28. So 39.28 pre-market low. They're actually 39.26 to be exact. Above that, pre-market high is at 41.07. I'm not going to mark that just yet. I want to see if this thing can get to the previous day close. This pattern here that we're forming, this bull flag looks very, very good for a possible pop towards the previous day close. I'm not going to mark that just yet. Previous day close, highs from yesterday is going to be a more important level for Lyft this morning. Let's see if we can get into the green territory today. Going back to the left here, we have a couple of levels, obviously great area of support right here, guys. You can see this 42.60. Look how nice that is. A lot of touches on here. The more touches you have, the more change in direction you have at a level, the more important that level is going to be, right? The more weight you can add to that. You can see that here all over the place. As far as resistance, you see it as support here as well. So that's looking very, very good there. In between that, let's see if we find something here. Not a major level, but you got an area of maybe some interest here around 41. Might be actually be 42, might be the whole dollar. So I'm just going to mark down 42. Again, don't put a whole lot of weight on that one. 42.60 is really where that daily level really sticks out there. Oh, there we go. Nice little pop above the previous day close there. Anyone taking that action this morning? Let us know in chat. 44.30 is a good one. And obviously all the way up here, which I don't, if this makes a move up here, man, we are in business. I don't think you'll do that today. But 46.60, nice little pop all the way up there. So here it is. Let's look at Meta today. Meta bouncing back a little bit, up almost 2% this morning after being, just completely crushed with the gap down. And then not only the gap down, then you had, continuous sell-off for a couple of more points down here. So it has not been fun for these guys, but they're getting some love this morning, up almost 2%. Low of the pre-market, 221. So we'll slam a level there. And above this pre-market high is hitting the highs from yesterday. So this line right here, guys, is the highs from yesterday. You can see that on there. So above that pre-market high, a little bit higher at 224.30. So 224.30 will slam a level there. Then above this, the only thing I'm going to really put on here is going to be this one, 230.34. That's it. I don't want to get this too congested in here. We are all set on Meta here as far as levels. Let's look at Piton. Piton this morning getting a little bit of a bounce, just kind of flirting with the previous day close line, going red and green. Now trying to get back into that green territory. This level here, 36.68, is going to be an important one. You can see the level of support you're getting here and the bounce that you're getting towards the previous day close. Let's see if we can hold here. Below that, your low of your pre-market is going to be slightly lower over at 36.45. So we'll slam a level there as well. Let's see how this does, guys. Huge pop yesterday. And a couple of moves, right? A lot of stuff happening there. New CEO, new plans of the way they want to structure themselves for the future. Rumors of them being bought out by Nike. Just a whole lot of news happening here, which the market obviously took very positive, as you can see there yesterday. We'll see if the hype is going to hold here. All right, high of the pre-market for Piton is going to be over at 39.33. So I'm definitely going to put a level right on there. And I think you're all set towards the top side. You have highs and lows from the last two trading days. You know what? Just in case, we hit 40 yesterday. Just in case we decide that this thing is going to be the real deal out of this pop we got yesterday, let's get some levels in here. On the daily, 42.48. We'll slam a level right on. You can see tons of support happening there when this thing was on a beautiful downtrend here, right? You can see how how much of the collapse was. This thing was well over 50 at one point, down to 24 or so, right? We're getting a little bit of a bounce now. So 42, 48, good one there. And then we can also, just in case, guys, because this can be very explosive, right? 45.75 is another daily level as well. You see the ping pong action here, support, resistance, support, resistance. Those two levels are going to be good if we get into that zone up there. All right, towards the bottom, let's look at Apple. Apple this morning, give it some levels. Love the daily here, guys. It's a beautiful pattern for a possible breakout continuation, right? You got the pop here. You got the coming back down, testing the resistance, consolidating here. Great day yesterday, and now you're hitting up against this level of the highs and lows. Oh, that's too much. Let's get where's our pen here to fix that. Here we go. So we're above these levels of resistance here that has been resistant for some time on Apple. If we could push above that, this could be nice. We're slightly above that there this morning. 176.76 is high of the pre-market. So again, 176.76. Above that, we do have a level here, 179. Great area on the daily. That looks good. And then all the way up here, guys, 182. So that's all we're putting on Apple this morning. Towards the bottom, do not add anything else, guys. You have plenty, right? Having some simplicity in your trading is very, very important. So definitely don't get this too congested and have your indicators contradicting each other. You do not want to do that. SoFi heading south here a little bit. High of the pre-market, 1270. Towards the bottom, plenty of levels here, guys. Highs and lows from the last two trading days. You're set there. Above this, you have. Let's go up here. Above this, you have, what do we have here? Go to the left a little bit. 1329 looks good, right? Couple of days opening, closing right around there, bouncing off of that. So that looks good there. And then all the way up here, you have 1387. So 1387 is good there. All right, and towards the bottom, you're all set. I think you're good on SoFi this morning. Getting a little bit of a drop now. Couldn't hit the highs of the recent highs here of 1270. Let's see where this goes. If it comes back down here and starts heading towards the previous day close, it doesn't look as fun anymore, regardless of the volume. I would love this to actually get a pop and actually break out, not be stuck here within the area that it's been stuck in the last couple of days, right? We want to see a breakout here towards that most recent high there around 1335 or so. We'll see how that turns out. All right, guys, that we are all set. That is our levels for this morning. We have Neo, we have Lyft breaking out, trying to stay in the green. Very nice. We have Meta here also looking to push higher, beautiful pre-market activity. We have Piton trying to hold on to this base, trying to stay to the green. Was in the green well this morning. After hours also gave you another couple of pops into the after hours play yesterday post-market. Let's see where it goes today. I think it's going to be very explosive with 3 million shares traded. All right, guys, let's take a look at our moderators lineup. Let's see what our moderators are watching today. For those over on YouTube, if you haven't done so already, as I resize this and make this look pretty for you guys, hit that thumbs up. It really does help us out a whole lot. We're sitting at 187. We love that 250, 300. Yesterday, we got to 250, 250 something, so appreciate that very, very much. All right, let's bring this over. Let's see our moderators lineup today. We have IPOs for today. Peter is pointing out a few there, so a couple of IPOs and SPACs. This morning. We also have Thor. Watch list is Neo, Facebook, and Apple. Secondary list SQ, PFE, and Lyft today. Peter's watching AMD, Apple, Lucid, Lyft, Facebook, and Piton. Susan is watching Piton, Neo, AMD. Secondary list Mara, Tesla, and SoFi, and Apple today. Dima is looking at Lyft, Lee, and AMD, and Apple, and then Tiffany, Facebook, Apple, and Lyft. I guess I gotta start getting used to saying Meta. Right? Meta. So Meta, Apple, and Lyft there. Megan's looking at Meta and Futu this morning. AMD as well. And Jared's looking at the gap fill on the SPY and the Qs. Meta, Neo, and Piton. And then secondary list Lyft, AMC, AMD, and Nvidia for Jared this morning. Wait for a few more moderators and Andrew to come on with his list. And Brian. Oh, there's Brian's list. Speaking of, let's bring that over. Brian's list coming in with Facebook, Lucid, X, DCFC, and Lyft on Brian's list this morning. So there we have it, my friends. 218 likes. Thank you, guys. Very, very good. Nice little pop there. Heading to the north side. Appreciate that very much. I think we're all set, guys. We'll wait for anybody else that's missing on the moderators list, and then we'll be good to go. Quick recap of our list here, guys. Starting with SoFi. SoFi, it's got to stay above here. We want to see this pop, not head down. Apple getting a little bit of a drop here, but again, for the most part, amazing volume, guys. 1.2 million. Eyes on the Qs. Look at the Qs today. Of course, not today. Every day we're looking at the Qs and the SPY. See what's happening there. Lately, I try not to go against these two guys, right? Because they can get running. Doesn't matter what your stock thinks it wants to do. These two guys are leading the charge here, man. Whatever the market is doing, companies are rolling with that, right? So you see Apple on our list. If the market gets going, Apple is going to follow suit. Nvidia, all these guys, all these tech companies are just following the overall trend. So just keep that in mind. It's difficult to take a trade against what the SPY is doing if that stock doesn't have an individual catalyst, right? Of course, if you have a catalyst, good or bad, and it's strong enough to go against the current, that can happen as well. But just keep that in mind. Keep eyes on the Qs and the SPY here. Piton is good. Volume is great on that one, as I mentioned before. Meta is good as well. Lyft, we'll see if this can carry into the market open. I'm very curious about how this is going to be at the market open. Lyft and Uber, which I also have down here, which actually has a great pre-market activity, has great volume, and the catalyst is not even on them. There's a sympathy play today for them. They're actually moving on Lyft's volume. Uber, when do they report? Norm mentioned it. I quickly forgot here. Oh, tonight. They report tonight. So we'll see what Uber does tonight after earnings. That'll be good to watch after the market close as well. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Both of these guys do not trade very well intraday, but today they got great volume. They're moving well in the pre-market. Hopefully we can take advantage of that. So, all right. Anything else we're missing? I think we're all set, guys. 9:11. We got a couple of minutes. Any questions we can answer for you guys? Our watch list is done. Our moderators are set to go. Brian is ready to go live. Andrew's been ready to go live since like 7:30 a.m. this morning. So we are all set to get cranking and going. Carlos, which market pen are you using? Oh yeah. So um great tool for those that are teachers, presenters, or any type of business. If you're in sales, this thing here, man, Epic Pen, that's what this tool is called. It is amazing. It is really, really good. You can use it like this. You can change the colors, the size. Very, very nice tool. Our moderators use this all the time when they're trading live, explaining something, or in the chat room sharing their screen. So it's called Epic Pen. Just Google it. And for some of these features, you have to pay, right? You have to pay. I think it's like $20, but it's so worth it because support stuff out there, guys. Don't be greedy. If you have a nice tool that they give you a free demo, support whoever's doing this, the developer. Support them. Give the $20 up. You're gonna get a lot of use out of this. Don't be cheap. We got to do a lot of more of that, supporting each other. That's very, very important, guys. Okay, so make sure you're supporting the stuff that you're using. If you can donate to something, do that. It is very important, especially as a trader. You gotta give back, right? Very, very important. All right, guys, we are set. I see a lot of you guys throwing out Disney. Let's take a look at Disney. We got 3 minutes left. Disney this morning. What's happening here? Any news on Disney? Disney. No, I don't see anything crazy on Disney. Yes, I do trade the open. Sometimes pre-market, like yesterday. Yesterday we traded the pre-market Piton. That was nice. And I traded at the open again, not at that pop early on. So yeah, I trade the open. I'm horrible after 11. That's a whole different story. Can you use it to write on documents? No, you can only use it to write on screens. All right. Earnings. After hours. Oh, after hours earnings. Oh, yeah. All right. So after hour earnings, this is going to be great tonight. Maybe not today. Pre-market. I mean, intraday might not be great. After hours, this will be good to look at, right? So, I'm sure Peter, Brian, and Mike are usually on after 4 o'clock when there's some good earnings coming out, like this one, some really noticeable earnings, and they'll watch this play out. So, we might be hanging out in the afternoon here at 4 o'clock, looking at what's going on with some of these earnings. So definitely hang out for that if you are around. TWO, I saw these guys in the news last night. They're up 3.8. Yeah, very difficult stock to trade though. So just be very careful with this one. I'm not seeing anything great on this one, or I am not seeing anything that looks better than what we have on our list already, right? Our list looks pretty good this morning, so I don't see anything that's beating that right now. So, all right, guys, 9:14 over on YouTube. Thank you so much for the 258 likes. Appreciate the support very, very much. We will see you guys tomorrow at 8 a.m. starting with Jared engineering the markets. And we're going to continue to trade live here. Andrew and Brian are up next to take us through the market open. They're going to go over the stuff that they like this morning and what they look forward to the market open. So take care, guys. Stay safe over on YouTube. we're going to continue in the chat here. Have a good one, everyone.